Let's get started right away. Insha'Allah ta'ala, we are continuing in Al-Mu'taqad As-Saghir by Imam Ibn Khafeef, the direct student of Imam Al-Shaari, Rahimahumallahu tabaraka wa ta'ala. And we have reached the section in which the author is discussing prophethood. And so the author says, may Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala have mercy upon him. We'll start from here where he said, and we did read this part last week, and we'll just back up. He said, وَأَنَّهُ رُفِعَ لَيْلَةَ أُسْرِيَ بِهِ فِي الْمِعْرَاجِ لَا رُؤْيَا. And that he, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, was raised on the night he was taken on a journey. He was raised on the night he was taken on a journey. رُفِعَ لَيْلَةَ أُسْرِيَ بِهِ فِي الْمِعْرَاجِ. During the Mi'raj. La ru'ya, not as a vision or a dream. So the Mi'raj, it is the ascension. And the journey is the Isra, the night journey. The two of them took place in a single night. La ru'ya, not as a vision or a dream, but really, physically, truly and literally. The angel came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with a beast from the garden and rode with the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam behind him to different spots until he took him to Jerusalem. And from there he went up into the heavens. وَأَنَّهُ رَأَى رَبَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. And that he saw his Lord, glorious and exalted, or invincible and great. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw his Lord biqalbihi, by his heart, or with his heart. That is, his heart was the organ of seeing, not his eye. And it does not mean in his heart. He saw his Lord by his heart. Because Allah is the one who creates the vision in the eye in the first place. It's not that the eye sees because it's an eye. Rather, the eye sees because Allah creates in it the vision. And therefore, anything else could see if Allah creates in it the power of sight. And Allah created in a mountain that didn't have eyes the power of sight. Yani, He made a mountain sea. Allah made a mountain sea. That's in the story of Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. وَكَلَّمَهُ. And he spoke to him. Yani, God spoke to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And so Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is Kalimullah, one to whom God spoke. And he shares that status with Abraham, with Moses. He shares that status with Moses. Moses is also Kalimullah, as well as Gabriel, the angel. He is Kalimullah, the one to whom God spoke. Those three, for sure, each one of them is Kalimullah. As for the status that Muhammad shares with Abraham, that's that he is Khalilullah. Muhammad is Khalilullah and Abraham is Khalilullah. And Khalil means, the Khalil of Allah means the most dedicated worshipper of Allah. وَأَوْصَاهُ وَفَرَضَ عَلَيْهِ وَأَبَاحَ لَهُ. And he gave him guidance. أَوْصَاهُ وَفَرَضَ عَلَيْهِ. And he made obligations upon him. وَأَبَاحَ لَهُ. And he permitted for him. Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala gave Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam knowledge and wisdom. That is the guidance. And Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, He made matters obligatory upon Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam that He did not make obligatory on others, like praying duha prayer or praying night prayer. Wa abaha, and He gave the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam permissions also that He didn't give to others. Like that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he may have more than 4 wives at once. In particular, because of his impeccability. How can he do that? Because of his impeccability. Yani, what's the reason for a man other than the Prophet not to be able to do that? Why a man other than the Prophet cannot have more than 4? Because he won't be able to be just. The fallible ones, in this regard, there's a limit at which they will fall short. So it became at a certain point haram for them. But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he will not be unjust. So the reason for it to be haram doesn't exist in him, alayhi salatu wassalam. So as you can see, there are some rules that are special to the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. Even some things that are haram, it's going to come inshallah. Things that are haram for the Prophet, not for others. And things that are obligatory on him and not for others. Things that are permissible for him and not for others. That's part of the religion. This is something we believe in. And I'll tell you something that's not special to the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, which is to mention a companion not in a good way. This is not one of those cases. Am I saying that to open a door to talk about the companions not in a good way? No. But to clarify the rule here, and why I'm bringing it up, because that's how some people will answer you. When they say, wait, you said this about the Sahabi? Wait, he's a companion. You can't say anything about a companion, any companion under any circumstance, no matter what. That's what they claimed. So we say to them, how can you say this is a rule? And the Prophet didn't do that. Which are saying it doesn't comply with what the Prophet did. They would say what the Prophet said. For example, Allah fi ashabi, fear Allah concerning my companions, etc. to the end of the hadith. And he said in the hadith also, La tasubbu ashabi, do not insult my companions. And Tahawi and An-Nasafi and other scholars said the companions are only mentioned with goodness. So we say to them, yes, all of that, you lack some comprehension here, which is that the companions are only spoken about with goodness. That's a broad general statement. And it has exceptions proven by the actions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, if not also the actions of other companions, if not also the actions of some of the tabi'un. So what he will say, well, he's the Prophet. So yeah, he's the Prophet. Aren't you supposed to imitate the Prophet? Isn't it that when we found, yes, the Prophet said, do not insult his companions and fear God concerning his companions, but also when we found other hadiths in which he said, he made some not good mention of some of his companions, then we knew that that was not an absolute rule and that there's exceptions to that because the Prophet himself did so. They would say, well, he's the Prophet though. So then you say, you must think this is one of those cases that are special to the Prophet only. You know how the Prophet has special rules? If you looked in the books of Usul al-Fiqh, you would find that there are rules pertaining to the Prophet ﷺ and not to others, you must think this is one of those. It's not. So that's why I just went through all of that right now. وَأَنَّهُ رَأَى الْأَنْبِيَاءَ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّلَامُ, and that he saw the prophets, may peace be upon them. When did he see the prophets? He saw all of the prophets when the angel took him to Jerusalem at the end of that trip, before going up into the skies. All of the prophets were gathered for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he prayed with them as their imam. He also saw some of the prophets when he went into the heavens, because not all of the prophets ascended up into the heavens on that same night. He met all of the prophets and prayed with them as their imam. And then after that, the angel took him up into the heavens, and he went through the 7 heavens. When he went through each heaven, he encountered some prophets, not all of them. So he saw all of them when he got to Jerusalem with the angel, and he saw some of them in the heavens. The statement of the author, and that he saw the prophets, may peace be upon them, this statement, it could mean all of the prophets, and it could mean some of the prophets. If it means all of them, he saw all of them when he prayed with them as their imam before going up into the heavens. If it means some of them, then he saw some of them when he was in the heavens. Like he saw Jesus and Yahya, John and Abraham and Moses there, and Adam. وَدَخَلَ الْجَنَّةِ, and he entered paradise, the garden. He entered in there. Alayhi salatu wassalam. He said, I entered paradise. دخلت الجنة فرأيت أن أكثر أهلها الفقراء. I entered the garden and I saw that most of its people were the poor people. وَرَأَى النَّارِ, and he saw the fire from afar. He saw the fire from afar, alayhi salatu wassalam. And in fact, Allah enabled his vision to penetrate the flames of hell. And he saw inside of hell. And Allah created for him an example of what it would be like in hell. And he said, I looked into the fire. He didn't say I entered the fire. He said, I looked into the fire and I saw that most of its people are women. May Allah protect the Muslimat. Ameen. May Allah grant you sisters a good ending. Ameen. And brothers too. وَأَنَّهُ سَأَلَ فَأُعْطِي وَقَالَ فَسُمِعَ, and that he asked and was given. وَقَالَ فَسُمِعَ, and that he spoke, meaning also he requested and he was heard, meaning it was answered for him. So it's like the same thing twice. وَأَنَّهُ سَأَلَ فَأُعْطِي, he asked and he was given. وَقَالَ وَسُمِعَ, and he spoke and was heard. Yani he was granted what he asked for when he spoke. Because he, alayhi salatu wassalam, on resurrection day, he will intercede. And he will be told, raise your head, ask, and you shall be given. Sal tu'ta, ask and be given, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَأَنَّهُ أَوَّلُ شَافِعٍ, and that he is the first intercessor. And this is about resurrection day. Now we're talking about intercession, that's Resurrection Day. We were just talking about matters pertaining to Al-Isra wal Mi'raj. That's on earth. Yani, that was a miracle of the Prophet ﷺ that happened in the dunya, rather. That happened in the dunya. And then in the afterlife, huwa awwalu shafi'. He is the first intercessor, the first one to intercede. Uh, and you know, amongst our creeds is the creed of that we believe in shafa'ah, intercession. That is for the prophets, the martyrs, the saints, the angels, the practicing scholars, and others to intercede by Allah's permission or with Allah's permission for major sinners amongst the Muslims. And because of that intercession, they would not be punished or they would not receive all the punishment they deserve. وَأَنَّهُ أَوَّلُ مُشَفَّعٍ, and that he is the first to be granted intercession. And he is the first one whose intercession is granted. And you know, intercession on Resurrection Day, there's a major intercession, there's a general intercession, and there's a major intercession. The general intercession is what I mentioned for you: prophets, angels, saints, practicing scholars, and others, martyrs, children who died before puberty. They will be interceding by the permission, though, with Allah's permission, for major sinners. It is an important part of believing in the intercession that it does not occur without permission. Yani, you're not going to be on Judgment Day and then on your own accord you're going to step forward and say, "Oh Allah, forgive Fulan. I intercede for him." Rather, intercession is only by permission, even from the angels. They cannot intercede without permission. The major intercession is Prophet Muhammad's intercession, alayhi salatu wassalam, which occurs after the sun draws near the heads of the creations and they suffer from the heat of the sun. And then they go to Adam asking for his intercession. He sends them to Noah, who sends them to Abraham, who sends them to Moses, who sends them to Jesus, who sends them to Muhammad sallallahu alayhim wa ala alihim wa sallam. وأنه أول من يقوم من القبر. يعني Jesus will send them to Muhammad. Each prophet will say, "I am not the one for this." And then they send them to the next one until they get to Muhammad. And then he says, "Ana laha, ana laha. I will take care of it. I will take care of it." And then he will prostrate and he will praise Allah with words that no one ever praised Allah with before. And then he will be told, "Lift your head and ask. You shall be given. Intercede, and your intercession shall be granted." And then he makes intercession for the Muslims, and that includes Muslims from other nations, not only Muslims from his nation. Because of his intercession, a great body of Muslims will be spared from the torture of Allah. That's a major event of Resurrection Day. وَأَنَّهُ أَوَّلُ مَنْ يَقُومُ مِنَ الْقَبْرِ, and that he is the first to stand from the grave. Alayhi salatu wassalam, as he mentioned, that he is the first one from whom the grave splits open. His grave shall open for him so that he can come out of it. It splits open for him so that he can come out of it. As for other people, though, the grave doesn't split open. They just come out of the ground. For other people, you will see on Judgment Day, the ground is tossing underneath, like something's happening under there. And then the people start coming up out of the ground and shaking the dirt off of their heads. And as you know, they will be naked coming out of their graves. Subhanallah. Then the people on Judgment Day will be naked except whom Allah honored with clothing. Then Allah will clothe them. Yani Allah will grant them clothing. And He will grant food to whom He wills on that day, and He will grant rides to whom He wills on that day. And so we ask Allah Ta'ala to make us on that day amongst those who are clothed and fed and riding with illuminated limbs. And but when he comes up out of his grave, alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, I will then find Moses standing at one of the pillars of the Arsh with his hand against it, leaning. So it looks like he was already up before the Prophet, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And the Prophet said, and I don't know, is it because truly he came out of his grave before me? So he says in the hadith, alayhi salatu wasalam, I am the first from whom the grave shall split open. And then I will find Moses standing leaning against one of the pillars of the Arsh. And I don't know, is it that he really got out of his grave before me? Or is it that he never fainted? Is it that he will be spared from fainting? Because he fainted when he saw the mountain crumble before his eyes. And so, since he fainted that time, Allah will spare him from fainting another time. The Prophet doesn't know. He said, I don't know. Is it this or is it that? Is it that he will come out of his grave first, actually, before me? Or is it that he will never faint in the first place because he already fainted in the dunya? وَأَنَّهُ أَوَّلُ مَنْ يَدْخُلُ الْجَنَّةِ, and that he is the first to enter paradise. Alayhi salatu wassalam. He will take hold of the ring, the knocker, the door knocker of paradise. And he will knock the door, or knock on the door with that knocker. And then the angel will open the door and say, I was commanded not to open this door for anyone before you. Sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. وأنه بعثه الله تعالى إلى الجن والإنس كافة, and that Allah the Exalted sent him to every genie and human, yani from his time until the end of the world. Anyone who believes that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is only sent to humans commits blasphemy. Denying that he is the messenger to the jinn is blasphemy. Just like anyone who believes that he's only a prophet for Arabs, he blasphemes too. Or if someone believes that he's just a prophet for his time, those old times, he commits blasphemy too. So the right belief is that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, he is the messenger of Allah to every human and genie from his time until the end of the world. His law is the last revealed law, and it is applicable anywhere in the universe. The law of Muhammad is applicable anywhere in the universe. That includes facing the Qibla. وأن شريعته نسخت الشرائع التي قبله كلها, and that his law abrogated all previous laws. his sharia, his law, abrogated, abolished every law before his. Yani, with the meaning that other than the laws that were not abolished. Yani, there are laws that are firm in every law. There are laws that are a consensus across all revealed laws, never changed, like the prohibition of drinking wine, the prohibition of eating pig meat, the prohibition of eating haram meat, unslaughtered meat, and other things. This is forbidden in every revealed law. But any law other than those is abrogated by the laws of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam if it's not a law that complies with the law of Muhammad in the first place. And so Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is ash-shari'. Ash-shari' for him means the lawbringer. Muhammad is the shari', the lawbringer. But you can use the same word for Allah, ash-shari'. Then if you use that ash-shari' for Allah, it means the lawmaker. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is not the lawmaker, he's the lawbringer. And the abrogation pertains to rules, not creeds, not beliefs. Beliefs are not abrogated, meaning you don't say, according to one law, they believed in angels, and according to another law, they didn't believe in angels. Or according to one law, they believed in destiny. According to another law, they didn't believe in destiny. This is very untrue. I had a discussion with a Wahhabi recently. He was denying tabarruk, seeking blessings from relics, seeking blessings from relics, like seeking blessings from the Prophet's hairs or the Prophet's nails, or dipping his cloak in water, seeking cure from that water. He said, this is blasphemy. So I told him, what about the Ark of the Covenant? I was confident he had no idea about it, because Wahhabis are very ignorant people. I asked him, well, what about the Ark of the Covenant? So he didn't know what I was talking about. So I told him, don't you know? Don't you know that the Israelites had a chest that had the relics of Moses and Aaron? And they would keep this chest with them when they would go fight. And they would have peace in their hearts. They would fight with tranquility in their hearts because of the presence of this chest in their midst. He said, what? Show me that in the Quran. So I told him, okay, open up Surah Al-Baqarah. Then I was reading for him the story there about King Saul. You know the story of King Saul, inshallah ta'ala. And how the Israelites lost the box that had the relics of Moses and Aaron. And then they said to a prophet of theirs, give us a king so that he can help us fight our wars. So their prophet, they said, this one shall be your king. And he named for them someone who was considered a mere grunt. Yeah, like he's just a private. They said, him? He's just from the tribe of Benjamin. He doesn't even have any money. We are more deserving of being in charge. So their prophet told them, Allah makes him your king So they said to him, give us a sign that he should be our king. Yani, it blows my mind that they asked their prophet for a sign. Yani, they asked him in the first place and he told them, and that wasn't enough. So they challenged, as if they challenged the veracity of what he said and said, give us a sign that he is the one. Subhanallah. So he told them, the sign of his kingdom, of his rulership, is that the Ark of the Covenant shall come back to you. That chest containing the relics of Moses and Aaron, that has serenity for you. It shall come back carried by the angels. So you should have seen this Wahhabi while we were reading the passage there. His eyes were like going to knock his glasses off of his face. His own eyes were bulging like they're going to knock his glasses off of his face. He still didn't accept. He said, why I'm bringing that up. What did he say? What was his answer? He said, what? That was another law. We follow the law of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Look at this desperate answer of his. So what was the answer? That no, this is a matter of aqidah here. You are saying, I said to him, you are saying that they had a sunnah in their law. That's a blasphemy in our law. It was sunnah in their law is blasphemy in our law. That's what you are saying. Because abrogation doesn't apply to creeds, convictions. Issue of seeking blessings from relics is a conviction, an issue of conviction. وَأَنَّهُ بَلَّغَ الرِّسَالَةَ, and that he conveyed the message. So, yeah, let me go a little bit further, if you don't mind for me to take a few more minutes. وَأَنَّهُ بَلَّغَ الرِّسَالَةَ, and that he conveyed the message. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Yes. In fact, conveyance is a prophet's main duty. Subhanallah. There was a sister. She started learning. She needs to learn more though. And she needs to get firm in her knowledge. And she's so eager. She wanted to start teaching people. She told me I'm teaching people. So I was concerned. Concerned for the people. Because I'm sure she's not strong. I told her, let me test you. She said, okay. So I asked her different questions. I told her, tell me 5 attributes of prophets. So she told me some things, but she didn't mention this one. Conveyance. This is the main attribute of a prophet. Tabligh, conveyance or delivery. That's their main function. Delivering the revelation. And so after I tested her and asked her all of what I asked her, and so I told her, now you see how you answered these questions. Now you think about the likelihood of you passing a mistake to the people. You want to teach the people, that's a good thing. I didn't tell her no, but you have to be prepared for that. Because you're going to teach a person a mistake. That's a disaster. That's one of the worst disasters that can happen, to learn mistaken religion. وَنَصَحَ الْأُمَّةِ, and he gave sincere counsel to the nation. He advised the Muslims, alayhi salatu wassalam, وَأَنَّهُ غُفِرَ لَهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِهِ وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ, and that he is forgiven for his past and future sins. Are those real sins? Yeah. Yani, Sin, that's singular. Dhanbihi, that's a singular. Someone is now so offended, very offended. And he's going to say, the scholars said the prophets don't sin. You're going to say to him, that's what some of them said, not all of them. Then he's going to say, but Fulan said the prophets, they don't sin. You say to him, okay, that's what some of them said, not all of them. And he's going to give you a long list. But Fulan and said, and Fulan said. You say to him, okay, that's what some of them said, not all of them. What about the ones who said what we are saying? They act like they don't exist when they do exist. And Nawawi, who took the position that prophets don't sin at all, he said the majority of the scholars said that it's possible that a prophet could commit a small sin. Also, Judge Iyal the Maliki, who took the position that prophets don't sin, he said the majorities of the scholars said that it's possible that a prophet could sin. And there's many statements, actually. And not just that, uh, Ibn Subki, he said this is an issue that doesn't require forsaking anyone or deeming anyone a heretic. This difference amongst the scholars about whether a prophet could commit a sin or not is not one that demands deeming someone as a heretic. Whichever position you take is not one that demands deeming someone as a heretic or as yani, as a heretic, for example. Yani, these people who are arguing about this, they're saying, you said a prophet could sin, Fulan said. They are like as if, imagine if someone said, what? You said a prophet. A messenger is a prophet who receives a law. A messenger is a prophet who receives a book. So you say, well, yeah, that's what some of them said. But others, they said a messenger is a prophet who received the law. And then he's going to argue with you. Imagine if it was something someone did like that. It's like that. Something the scholars differed about without hating each other over it. They hate people over it because they're not really following the scholars. This issue, when we talk about it, and we say there were scholars who said prophets don't commit any sin. So we're not saying, damn those ones don't they know that Allah said this ayah, look at them reinterpreting this, reinterpreting that, and none of this come forth from us. And in the past didn't come forth from the others. Those who said that no prophet commits a sin, they were not bounty hunters going after the opposite party. وَفَرَضَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ أَشْيَاءَ دُونَ أُمَّتِهِ. And Allah obligated upon him things that were not obligatory for his nation. Here, it's what we're talking about. The Prophet having special rules. وَحَظَّرَ عَلَيْهِ أَشْيَاءَ أَبَاحَهَا لِغَيْرِهِ. And Allah prohibited for him things that he permitted for others. This is confirmed here. So here, this Imam Ibn Khafeef, he's mentioning this fact in his Aqidah book. So that's a nice fact to put. We do believe that Allah revealed obligations to the Prophet special to him that are not applicable to his nation, and revealed prohibitions to the Prophet special to him that are not applicable to his nation. Usually you will find this talk in the books of Usul al-Fiqh. For example, it was forbidden for the Prophet to take a charity. It was permissible for him to take a gift and forbidden to take a charity. What's the difference between those two? The intention. A charity is a handout for helping someone. A gift is a present for rapport and relationships. He was allowed to take a gift, which is a present, and he was forbidden from taking a charity, which is a handout. Sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. Kullu dhalika ikraman lah. All of that is for honoring him. All of that is as an honor to him and to raise his rank and to increase his reward. فصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحابته. So may the blessings of Allah be upon him and upon his family and his companions. So that previous statement where the author said, وَأَوْصَاهُ وَفَرَضَ عَلَيْهِ وَأَبَاحَ لَهُ. He gave him guidance. That part's fine. وَفَرَضَ عَلَيْهِ وَأَبَاحَ لَهُ. And he made obligations on him. And he permitted for him. And he gave him permissions. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Let me review that statement there to make sure that that's not redundant. So you just saw the statement. وَفَرَضَ عَلَيْهِ وَأَبَاحَ لَهُ. He made obligations upon him and permitted for him. And then he said down here, وَفَرَضَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ أَشْيَاءَ دُونَ أُمَّتِهِ. Allah made obligations on him, not for his nation. I'll review, make sure I'm not missing something there, inshallah ta'ala. Wallahu a'lam. Do you have a question I can answer for you?